Buckle up, because we're about to take a close look at some really fascinating material. Unidentified anomalous phenomena. Or UAPs. Yeah, I know. We used to call them UFOs. But trust me, this is way more than just blurry photos and late-night radio stories.
Absolutely. We're going to be examining the classified document. It comes from a multi-year internal investigation by the U.S. legislative branch into UAPs. It's really as close to official confirmation as you can get.
So we're not talking speculation here. This is declassified intelligence, directly from government sources. And what makes this even more interesting is that the report's author, this person strongly believes the government hasn't been entirely honest with the public about UAPs.
That's right. The author is alleging potential knowledge gaps at the highest levels of government. Now, this document reveals the existence of something called Immaculate Constellation. It's a previously unacknowledged special access program, or SAP, dedicated to collecting intel on UAPs.
Okay, so it's not just theories and speculation. The fact that Immaculate Constellation exists shows that the government has been actively investigating UAPs, and they've been using a network of classified military platforms and sensors. We're talking high-quality imagery and signals intelligence, really advanced stuff.
Yes. And the report actually gets into the specifics of how Immaculate Constellation operates. It utilizes a system of parent and child, unacknowledged special access programs, USAPs for short, to the child USAPs. They collect the raw data, things like images and sensor readings, and then that information is transferred to the parent USAP for further analysis.
So it sounds like they're treating this UAP data with a very high level of secrecy and control, almost like they're dealing with highly sensitive information. That needs to be carefully managed.
That's a good way to put it. The report really underscores how seriously they've been taking this. Now, the report also provides some pretty compelling examples of UAP encounters documented through Immaculate Constellation. One that really stands out is what they're calling the CEM-TCOM cuboid formation.
Cuboid formation. What does that even look like?
Now, imagine this. Multiple metallic orbs maneuvering in a precise formation over the ocean, each orb about 5 to 6 meters in diameter. And they weren't just hovering, they were actively moving in ways that kind of defy our current understanding of physics.
So we're not talking about, some weather balloons or drones here. These objects were demonstrating advanced capabilities.
Exactly. The report states that they moved in this formation for a period of time and then rapidly broke apart, each creating a metallic orb shape against the background in the FLIR image before vanishing. And this isn't an isolated incident. The report details other encounters, including one referred to as the Indo-PACOM fast mover observed transiting over sensitive facilities.
The fact that a UAP was observed over sensitive military facilities is definitely concerning from a security standpoint. What do we know about this fast mover?
It was described as a high-speed, oval-shaped object that was seen rapidly transiting over these facilities. The speed and the fact that it was able to penetrate what should be secure airspace raises questions about potential vulnerability.
It makes you wonder what capabilities these UAPs possess.
Yeah.
What their intentions might be.
Precisely. And there's another Indo-PACOM incident where a large triangular UAP was observed near a vessel. This object was estimated to be about the size of a fighter jet, and it hovered less than 200 meters above the vessel.
A triangular UAP that size, hovering that close to a vessel, that's a pretty unsettling scenario.
Definitely. The report states that the vessel didn't appear to notice the UAP above it. Then there's the Northcom supersonic radar Fowler intercepts USN fighter incident.
It sounds like something out of a movie. What happened there?
A supersonic UAP was detected by radar, and it ended up interfering with the U.S. Navy fighter jet. During a training exercise, this UAP showed advanced capabilities, disrupting radar, and potentially exceeding the fighter jet's speed.
So, we're seeing multiple instances where UAPs demonstrate capabilities far beyond our own technology. It's starting to become clear why the author believes there may be a lack of transparency from the government on this issue.
I would agree. What we're seeing in this report is a level of detail and confirmation that we haven't really seen before. It goes beyond anecdotal evidence and grainy footage. It talks about the specific sensor data used to gather information, infrared, full motion video, thermal imaging, a whole range of sophisticated technologies.
It sounds like they've been utilizing a variety of methods to get as comprehensive a picture as possible of these UAPs.
Absolutely. They're using everything at their disposal. It makes these sightings much harder to dismiss as misidentifications or hoaxes. This diverse data collection lends a significant degree of credibility to these observations.
It sounds like they're treating this as a legitimate and potentially very serious phenomenon. And the report doesn't just stop at the hardware.
Right.
It also analyzes declassified defense human intelligence reports.
Yeah.
That's right. They're looking at this from both the technological and a human perspective, trying to understand what military personnel have witnessed firsthand.
I'm really interested to hear about those firsthand accounts. What are people actually seeing out there?
The report provides a really detailed breakdown of the most commonly observed UAP shapes. Dating back to 1991, it goes beyond, the typical flying saucer image.
So what are we talking about? What shapes are being reported?
Well, the most commonly reported shape, believe it or not, is the sphere. Then you have disc saucers, ovals, triangles, boomerangs, arrowheads, and even some that are described as irregular or organic.
Irregular or organic. That's pretty intriguing and a bit unsettling.
It is. And alongside these shapes, the reports mention other intriguing details. Speeds far beyond any conventional aircraft, unique visual and electromagnetic signatures, and even potential biological effects on those who have observed them up close.
Biological effects, that's a whole other level of strange. What kind of effects are we talking about?
Some reports mention observers experiencing feelings of unease, electronic device malfunctions, and even physical symptoms like nausea and headaches after encounters with UAPs.
That's definitely concerning. It suggests that these UAPs could pose a potential risk to human health.
Right. It raises a lot of questions about what these objects are capable of. And the report includes accounts from military personnel who have had these close encounters.
Let's dive into those accounts. What kind of encounters are we talking about here?
One report describes an FA-18 pilot encountering a small silver orb that was able to effortlessly outmaneuver his fighter jet. During a training exercise, it performed high-speed maneuvers that defy physics before vanishing.
So not only are these UAPs real, but they're demonstrating technology. That's significantly more advanced than anything we have.
That's the takeaway. And there's another report from a CVN flight deck crew, that's an aircraft carrier crew, who observed a metallic orb performing rapid maneuvers in controlled airspace. It wasn't just passing through, it was actively maneuvering around the carrier.
It's almost like it was studying the carrier. That's a bit unnerving.
It certainly is. And these are just a couple of the many examples in the report. The level of detail and consistency across these reports is pretty compelling.
All of this is incredibly fascinating, but it also raises serious questions. The report mentions inconsistencies and potential withholding of information regarding UAPs within the DoD. What exactly does that mean?
Well, the author claims that there are discrepancies in how the DoD has handled UAP information over the years. There's evidence suggesting data may have been compartmentalized or even withheld from Congress and the public.
So we could be looking at a potential cover-up.
The report stops short of using that term, however. It strongly suggests a lack of transparency when it comes to UAPs. It even cites an instance where Congress was potentially misled about the existence of a program directly related to UAPs.
They misled Congress. That's a serious accusation.
It is, and the author backs it up with evidence, like internal memos that seem to contradict public statements made by DoD officials.
So, what are we supposed to make of all of this? Is the government really withholding information about UAPs?
That's what this report strongly implies. We'll need to review and analyze the information further to really get to the bottom of it.
It sounds like we're just getting started. There's a lot more to unpack and consider.
You're absolutely right. This is only the beginning of our in-depth examination of this report.
Stay with us as we continue to explore this fascinating and potentially game-changing document.
Welcome back. I hope you're ready for more, because we've only just begun to unpack the wealth of information in this declassified UAP report.
Yeah, I'm still trying to process everything we discussed in the last part. The idea that the government might be withholding information about UAPs, that there might be these secret programs. It's a lot to take in.
It's definitely a lot to digest. But before we get into the implications of that, let's get back to the data itself. We talked about those first-hand accounts. Those are what really bring this phenomenon to life.
Yeah. Those were definitely some of the most compelling parts of the report. It's one thing to see data points and sensor readings, but hearing those stories from military pilots and flight crews who encountered UAPs directly, it's chilling.
It really is. And this report goes into detail about the types of encounters they've documented. And some interesting patterns emerge.
What kind of patterns are we talking about?
Well, The report distinguishes between two main categories of encounters: those observed by advanced sensor systems and those witnessed directly by military personnel.
So you have the technological perspective and the human perspective, and both provide valuable insights.
Precisely. The sensor data gives us a clear picture of the physical capabilities of these UAPs, while the human element adds a layer of depth and complexity to the story.
Okay, let's start with the sensor data. What are some of the patterns that emerge from that?
One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from FLIR footage, forward-looking infrared.
Oh, those FLIR videos of UAPs that were circulating online a few years back. Is that the same kind of technology we're talking about here?
That's right. FLIR cameras detect heat signatures, allowing them to see objects, even in complete darkness. And this report describes multiple FLIR recordings capturing UAPs, demonstrating extraordinary capabilities.
Like what? What kind of capabilities?
For example, one incident, captured by several surveillance and reconnaissance networks, involved a series of metallic orbs. Maneuvering over the ocean, they were seen rapidly changing direction, accelerating and decelerating at speeds we simply can't achieve.
It sounds like we're talking about a level of technological sophistication that's far beyond anything we currently possess.
It really does seem that way. And it's not just FLIR data. The report mentions radar tracks, maze and INTI data, and even full-motion video recordings corroborating these extreme maneuvers.
So they're using a whole network of systems to track these UAPs. It makes you wonder, how many of these events are happening that we don't even know about?
It's a sobering thought, this report. Might just be giving us a glimpse into a much larger phenomenon.
Okay, so we've got this advanced sensor data pointing to capabilities. Beyond our understanding, what about the human side of this? What are the people who've encountered these objects?
See, that's where it gets really interesting. The report includes an in-depth analysis of defense human intelligence reports. And it's in these reports that we see the human impact of these encounters.
What kind of impact?
Well, many pilots describe feelings of awe, disbelief, even fear when encountering UAPs. They talk about these objects making maneuvers that seem impossible, disappearing and reappearing, and even interacting with their aircraft in unexplainable ways.
So it's not just about seeing something strange in the sky. These encounters are challenging their understanding of reality.
Exactly. And some pilots even reported experiencing physical effects after these encounters, like nausea, disorientation, even temporary loss of consciousness.
Wait, are you saying these UAPs might be capable of causing physical harm to humans?
The report doesn't draw any definitive conclusions, but it does raise that possibility. It emphasizes the need to investigate the potential biological effects of these encounters more closely.
That's a disturbing thought. It adds a whole other dimension to this phenomenon.
It certainly does, and it reinforces the need to approach this issue with a sense of urgency and scientific rigor.
We talked about the different shapes of UAPs being reported, but can we go into a bit more detail on that? What are some of the common characteristics associated with each shape?
Certainly. The report provides a detailed breakdown of UAP shapes observed between 1991 and 2022. Spheres are the most common, described as ranging in size, from small objects to those several meters in diameter, often with smooth, metallic surfaces and no visible markings.
So your classic silver orb in the sky.
Exactly. And these spheres are often reported as moving with incredible speed and agility. Then there are the disks or saucers, with some reports mentioning smooth surfaces, while others describe visible ridges or panels.
So that classic flying saucer image isn't entirely out of the realm of possibility.
It seems not. And then you have ovals, which maintain a consistent shape. As they maneuver, often reported traveling at high speed, accelerating instantly, and even hovering silently.
Silent hovering? That sounds like some pretty advanced technology.
It does indeed. And then there are the triangles. These are described as being medium to large in size, from the size of a fighter jet to much larger.
We're talking about some truly massive objects now.
Yes. And these triangle-shaped UAPs are often reported as having a significant electromagnetic signature. Some reports even mention them emitting humming sounds or bright lights that affect electronic devices nearby.
So they're not just visually impressive, they might have the capacity to interfere with our technology.
That seems to be the case. We also have the boomerang or arrowhead shapes. These can be quite large, exceeding 30 meters in length.
That's huge.
It is, and they're often described as having smooth surfaces and an aerodynamic design, suggesting they might be designed for atmospheric flight.
And finally, we have the irregular or organic shapes.
Yeah.
The wild cards, so to speak.
Yeah, Exactly. These are the most difficult to categorize, with a wide range of sizes and movement patterns. They're associated with bizarre and unpredictable behaviors, from slow drifting to rapid acceleration, and even the emission of unusual sounds or electromagnetic effects.
It's a pretty diverse and perplexing collection of shapes and behaviors.
It really is. And taken together, this information paints a complex and baffling picture of the UAP phenomenon.
Yeah, it's a lot to process. What does it all mean? What are the implications of these objects, potentially from another world, demonstrating technology that surpasses our own?
That's the big question, isn't it? And unfortunately, this report doesn't provide the answers. What it does offer is a wealth of credible evidence that can no longer be easily dismissed.
It feels like we're at a turning point in our understanding of UAPs.
I agree. This report could mark a shift from speculation and conspiracy theories to an era of serious scientific inquiry.
But we're not done yet, are we? There's still more to discuss, particularly those allegations of a potential cover-up.
Absolutely. That's where things get really interesting.
Stay with us as we continue our in-depth examination of this report and delve into those allegations in the next part of our discussion. Welcome back to our in-depth analysis of this UAP report. We've covered a lot of ground. Intriguing data, those first-hand accounts. But there's one aspect we really need to address. The report's claim that there have been inconsistencies and potential withholding of information within the Department of Defense.
Yes, this is perhaps the most concerning aspect of the entire report. It raises serious questions about transparency and accountability when it comes to this whole UAP issue.
The report provides specific examples. That suggests a deliberate effort to kind of downplay the significance of this whole phenomenon and even control the flow of information to higher levels of government.
That's right. One of the key takeaways here is that the report isn't just making vague accusations, it cites specific instances, including internal memos and communications that contradict public statements made by certain DoD officials.
So they're saying there's evidence that Congress and potentially the public have not been given the full story.
That's the implication, yes, and it goes beyond just inconsistencies in communication. The report also suggests that certain UAP-related programs and data have been compartmentalized to the point that even those with high-level security clearances aren't even aware of their existence.
So we're talking about the possibility of secret UAP programs operating within the government, hidden even from high-ranking officials.
That's what the report suggests. It points to the existence of what are called unacknowledged special access programs, or USAPs, operating outside the usual chains of command and oversight.
Right. We talked about USAPs earlier in relation to Immaculate, Constellation. Is the report saying there might be other USAPs related to UAPs that we don't even know about?
That's the claim. And if true, it raises serious concerns about who controls this information and why they're keeping it secret.
It's a disturbing thought. Entire programs dedicated to studying UAPs, operating in the shadows, hidden from public scrutiny. If these allegations are true, why would certain elements within the government go to such lengths to conceal this information?
That's the million-dollar question. The report explores a few possibilities. One is national security, if we're dealing with technology. That's significantly more advanced than our own. The government might feel the need to keep it secret, to prevent adversaries from getting their hands on it.
I see. So from a strategic standpoint, we wouldn't want to risk this technology falling into the wrong hands.
Exactly. Another possibility is concern about public panic. Imagine the societal implications if it were definitively confirmed that we're being visited by extraterrestrial civilizations. It could have profound impact on our understanding of the world and our place in it.
Right. It would certainly be a paradigm shift. But wouldn't withholding information just lead to more distrust and speculation?
That's the argument the report makes. It emphasizes that transparency and open communication are crucial. Concealing information only breeds suspicion and hinders our ability to properly address this whole UAP issue.
Yeah, so what's the solution? How do we move forward from here?
Well, the report offers several recommendations. First, it calls for greater transparency from the government, including declassifying more information about past and current UAP investigations. It also recommends establishing a dedicated, independent organization to investigate UAPs free from influence by the military or intelligence agencies.
So essentially, taking a more open and scientific approach to studying this phenomenon.
Precisely. And finally, the report emphasizes the need for increased scientific research into UAPs, using all the tools at our disposal to better understand them
It's a lot to consider, but it feels like we're at a pivotal moment. This report has the potential to be a catalyst for a new era of UAP research, one based on transparency and scientific rigor.
I agree. This report has brought the UAP issue to the forefront in a way we haven't seen before. It raises crucial questions about government transparency, the nature of these phenomena, and ultimately, what it means for humanity.
It's a fascinating and complex issue, and one that deserves careful consideration. We've only scratched the surface in our analysis today, but hopefully, this has given you a deeper understanding of the information contained within this report.
And hopefully it encourages you to continue exploring this topic on your own. There's a lot more to learn and a lot more to discover.
Thanks for joining us on this close look at one of the most intriguing mysteries of our time. As always, we encourage you to stay curious, stay informed, and keep looking up. Who knows what we might find out there?